what's making headlines today. Trump's tariffs deadline is right around the corner. How tariffs could cause headaches for consumers. Plus, we're continuing our coverage on the deadly Central Texas floods, how one local food truck is stepping up to the plate, and how you can help.
Baffin Bay pushback. I'm Michaela Chavez downtown. I'll take you inside Tuesday's City Council meeting where community members and anglers fight to protect their home.
Your Quick 6 News F5 starts right now. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. President Donald Trump is doubling down on tariffs with the deadline for the countries to make a deal just 2 weeks away, now causing concern on how that will affect inflation. The Producer Price Index report and the Consumer Price Index data showed inflation increase. Now with threats of tariffs, consumers could be paying more for day-to-day items. Trump says he'll likely add new tariffs on pharmaceutical products at the end of the month and eventually could hike them up to 200%. Trump also says he'll impose a 19% tariff on Indonesian goods, which will lead to an overall increase in the inflation rates. So far, President Trump has warned the European Union and 24 other nations that steeper tariffs will be imposed on August 1st. Now, some of those major trading partners include Brazil, Canada, Mexico, Japan, and South Korea. Some key exports to the U.S. are coffee from Brazil, oil and petroleum products in Canada, fruits and vegetables in Mexico, and auto parts from Japan and South Korea. Now, you might be asking, how does this affect you at home? Well, according to the University of California, Davis, Mexico is the leading foreign supplier of avocados, raspberries, bell peppers, and strawberries, which means if you're shopping for these staples, you could see higher prices at the grocery store. Just days ago, President Trump threatened to impose 30% tariffs on products from Mexico, two of the United States' biggest trading partners. Now, President Trump spoke to the tariffs and the inflation report. This is what he had to say.
But more important than the money, there's two aspects to tariff. There's the money, which comes in. The other aspect is that rather than paying the tariffs, the country or the company will build in the United States, make their product in the United States, and that creates jobs.
Recently implemented tariffs on Mexican tomatoes last week, separately from the 30% tariffs that would go into effect on August 1st. This already impacting some of our neighborhood restaurants like Guajillos on the island. They get their tomatoes from Mexico. Owner Andres Rosas tells neighborhood news reporter Aaron Hawley that he had to change his menu because of price increases.
It's been impacting at some point that we had to cut some stuff that we had on our menu because of the prices increasing. Like we used to do some breakfast. Obviously the breakfast, they have tomato, avocados, and we had to cut a lot of stuff from people.
We'll head on over to Chris 6 News or christv.com to learn what other products will be impacted. And over a week later, search and rescue efforts continue across Central Texas after deadly flooding ravaged the area. Over 130 people were killed and 101 are still missing. Search operations have continued after heavy rain hit the area once again. The Crook County Sheriff Department telling county commissioners that the search for the missing could take months. And the tragedy in Central Texas still hurts, but neighbors from the Coastal Bend are still finding ways to help those affected. Nacho's Authentic Mexican Food and Catering food truck went to help feed thousands of people in Kirk County last week, serving plates to first responders, volunteers, and families. This week, the food truck is heading back to serve those in the surrounding smaller communities who are helping rebuild, and they are asking for your help in contributing to their mission.
It's about feeding them good because they've been there all day. You see them coming in and, exhausted, even the dogs.
Rodriguez is donating 100% of her sales to fund her second trip. For information on how to help, look for this story on christv.com. And we want to remind you that if you want to help those affected by the floods, the Scripps News Group has organized a fund. If you would like to donate, scan the QR code on your screen or text flooding to 50155. And a topic brought up during several press conferences in Kerrville and also Kirk County is cloud seeding. We have meteorologist Stephanie Lauber here, who is going to explain to us what this is all about.
Yeah, it's been a really popular conversation ever since, and it's a complicated topic. It's not easy, and I think a lot of folks It's difficult to understand. I think we need to take it back to the basics and understand how clouds start to begin with. So, new fancy science term we're going to learn. Cloud condensation nuclei. Let me take you over to our little science lab and explain what is the focus of this week's science snippet. If you didn't know, we put one of those out weekly to let you know about cool sciencey things. So, in the atmosphere, the most abundant gas, water vapor, the gas form of water. So in order to make a cloud, we need to start with cloud condensation nuclei, basically something for this gas, little particulates, for water to grab onto and eventually become liquid. So dust, little bits of particles in the air, that's our cloud condensation nuclei usually. But the idea with cloud seeding is that we would put additional particles out there because sometimes it's not enough, or maybe these particles are not in the right place. So this kind of helps give a little extra for clouds to grab onto and kind of form. So as we have more of those, they start to form into cloud droplets, and then we can kind of continue that process of either becoming ice and snow or liquid precipitation, rain. You can find out more about this in the science snippet. As far as the local forecast and what clouds we may have coming up, I'll fill you in just a few.
The fight to protect Baffin Bay has now reached Corpus Christi City Council. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter downtown. After learning about a groundwater desalination project that would plant its roots in Driscoll and pour its waste into Baffin Bay, several anglers and community members showed up here to voice their concerns.
It's going to affect everything.
Be prepared for the public to ask some tough questions.
Bay is not just short-sighted, it is reckless.
The only thing that Baffin Bay needs from us is to leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Several speakers, lots of emotions. Many who spoke during public comment addressed the contract between the South Texas Water Authority and Seven Seas Water that would allow 1 million gallons of waste a day to be discharged into Baffin Bay. And that number could also increase significantly if the city were to partner with the project. Some questioning the intent behind the project.
The city council, I mean, they vote on this stuff, and they've left us in the dark. They've left the citizens in the dark. They keep telling us we need water for residents, and it's not for residents, it's for industry.
Citizens you represent who are watching very closely are not okay with turning Baffin Bay into a dumping ground for corporate profit.
Those who spoke pointed out all kinds of concerns: environmental, economic, cultural, some even throwing out their own alternative ideas on how to get rid of the waste from the desal plant.
Creating wetlands with the discharge.
We're not against desal, but get rid of the brine in a more environmentally friendly way. Pump it offshore or deep well inject it.
Clayburgh County Judge Rudy Madrid spoke to me on June 24th about the MOU passed from Corpus Christi City Council with the South Texas Water Authority. This is what he said.
And actually the discharge that comes off it is going to run into Baffin Bay, and it's going to be able to refresh Baffin Bay, bring it back to where its normal state was, something that we've been lacking for 100 years. From
residents saying the opposite, saying Baffin Bay does not need saving because Mother Nature will take care of it on her own.
We don't need any fresh water in Baffin Bay. We don't need any chemicals. We don't need any metals. They need to leave our bay systems alone.
Anglers and community members are asking City Council to do their due diligence and have an environmental impact study done by a third party before moving forward with the project.
Rushing to an August 24th deadline without due diligence is more than irresponsible. It's a slap in the face to the very people you are elected to serve.
Mayor Paulette Guajardo responding briefly after one public comment.
I don't care what date is what Brittany wears. We have an obligation to do our due diligence, and that is happening.
Chris Six will continue digging into the project, the contract, and what this means for the overall region. In downtown, I'm your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter, Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 News.
And the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association recommends no rate increase for Coastal Bend homeowners. The committee voted 5-2 to make the rates the same for both homes and businesses. This comes after analysis stated TWIA rates are 3% too low for homes and 5% too low for businesses. The committee acknowledges state legislation for improving the Insurance Association's financial outlook.
Class is in session. I'm Tyrese Boone at Tolosa Midway, talking with some about the first day of school and what's planned for this new school year.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Wednesday marked the first day of class for students enrolled at Tuloso Midway's Independent School District. I'm Tyree Spoon, your neighborhood news reporter on the Northwest Side, hearing firsthand experiences from teachers and students entering the campus for the first time this school year. Pre-kindergartner Ruthless was one of many students of Tuloso Midway ISD attending the first day of school.
Well, my daughter Ruthless, she's gonna go to pre-K.
Danette McCrae tells me she and her little Ruthless have looked forward to this day for so long.
I'm excited because she's gonna meet new friends and she's gonna be like, Mommy, this, and that. And I can't wait to hear about her day and everything.
McCrae, like other Tuloso Midway ISD parents, knows her daughter's school district is different from many others in the Coastal Bend. For TMISD, class is in session year-round and has a 1-week break every 6 weeks.
On campus, it gives our parents an opportunity to do many things throughout the year in their personal lives to give our students a broader scope of life, so that way they can experience things.
Superintendent Steve Van Matry tells me with the new school year comes new opportunities for learning.
So at the primary campus, we're rolling out a brand new reading program. The intermediate campus, our world-renowned, as I like to say, dual language initiative.
The district's top educator says he hopes students and parents keep the excitement from the first day of school until the last day of school.
It's our time.
As students settle into their new year at Tuloso Midway, school leaders say they're focused on keeping classrooms safe, students supported, and families informed. On the Northwest Side, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tyree Spoon, Chris 6 News.
All right, Therese, thank you. And drivers in the Coastal Bend can now get a free emissions check, and it only takes about 5 minutes. The program is called Auto Check. It's a joint effort between Texas A&M University Corpus Christi and the Port of Corpus Christi. The goal is to help drivers better understand their vehicle and reduce harmful pollution. Technicians will read check engine light codes, test your gas cap, and measure emissions from your tailpipe. The program is free and open to the public for vehicles registered in Nueces, San Patricio County, and surrounding counties.
All right, but how are the roadways looking? Another breezy, hazy, and humid day here across the Coastal Bend, seen perfectly on our camera that overlooks SPID, along with all those busy bees up and at them trying to make the way home. So here's what we're looking at, the wide view, no trouble areas outside of the usual stop and go. We're looking okay, coming down 37 again as folks try to figure out what's going on with the new Harbor Bridge. There's a little stop and go as we figure things out, but nothing too bad out there. Crosstown is a little bit slow as you're approaching Horn, but clears up as you get toward that Crosstown SPID interchange. And for those of you who are going to be taking Staples down by SPID to Saratoga, we're not looking as busy as usual, but expect those delays as we head on into the hour. As we head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. Be right back. All right, taking a look from the Wata Sky Cam, as we like to call it. It's our camera over at Whataburger Field, seeing both bridges and a beautiful day. Just a couple of clouds out there, a little hazy along the horizon too, because there's a touch of Saharan dust in our atmosphere. If you're somebody who has some respiratory sensitivities, maybe you're prone to allergies, you may not need me to tell you that some of that dust is around, but with it comes a little bit of drier air above our heads, and it makes for some hot weather in the forecast. We also have some pretty windy weather out there. Temps are particularly hot for some of the inland neighborhoods. Alice reporting a temperature of 98 degrees right now. Kingsville 92, getting a little bit of relief since you're right there by Baffin Bay. 98 in Hebronville and 92 at CCIA. Again, just a couple of clouds out there. And our winds, these are sustained winds, by the way. That's not even the gusts, but we can take a closer look with the Chris 6 Neighborhood and Weather Network on the south side with some of the windy conditions that we've been experiencing out that way. It may not seem very exciting, but winds hanging out around 15 to 20 miles per hour. Nearly 25 miles per hour off Southampton Drive. Compare that to some of the temperatures we're seeing out there. We are near 90 degrees for a lot of the neighborhood stations, at 90 off Wind Willow and Garden Court. Everyone else just a little bit cooler, but it's really the humidity that makes things feel hotter out there. So as we go through tonight, a little bit less of that humidity will allow our temperatures to come down through the next couple of hours. Notice this, we're actually going to sink below 80 as we head past midnight. We'll be at 79 by then, and you'll notice again, just a couple of clouds. Not a whole lot out there because it's going to generally be a quiet night, but with the absence of clouds, that allows our temperature to cool off during the overnight because all the heat just radiates back up into the atmosphere. So probably much more comfortable as we start things out tomorrow morning. Will the breeze be there? Yeah, you can count on that. Breezy conditions as we head on into the early morning hours. We only get a little bit of relief right by dawn, where our winds will come down sustained around 5-8 miles per hour. Nothing crazy, but the breeze continues to be very prominent during the afternoon. So here's that bit of Saharan dust I was telling you about. It's all along the Texas coast. It will be making its swirl up the Gulf Coast over the next couple of days, and then we don't really see much of that over the next couple of days. It looks like maybe next week we can get another batch of Saharan dust, but we've also been tracking the movement of the overall weather pattern upstairs. I talked about clockwise movement around that big blue H. High pressure upstairs helps us out with that, especially in this case because we're in the throes of hurricane season, and while there really isn't a whole lot out on the Atlantic side of things, we have been keeping an eye on a batch of disorganized thunderstorms near Florida that has now emerged kind of into the Gulf, kind of still on that Florida panhandle. But again, really hard to get some organization here. No matter what happens, it still looks like this is not going to be a problem here in the coastal bend. Even at most, one model trying to take that into far western Louisiana. So not much room for development here. Not a concern to us other than the risk of rip currents along our coast as we head on into the weekend. So something I'll be watching carefully. More importantly, I think, though, the heat over the next couple of days is going to be very apparent, especially for our neighbors in Kingsville. Rockport and Kingsville, here's a look at the next 7 days.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. We're tracking grocery prices around Corpus Christi. We'll show you how to get the best bang for your buck next.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Alrighty then, folks, it's the middle of the week and it might be time to restock the pantry. But how much will you be paying? To help your dollar go even further, I'm tracking those grocery prices here in town, and all of these prices I'm about to show you are of the local retailers' sites as of Wednesday morning. Let's start with a carton of eggs, shall we? It looks like third place is Target at $2.79, H-E-B $2.78, and then the winner is Walmart at $2.72. What about a loaf of bread? Well, those prices have remained relatively the same. Target third place $1.49, H-E-B second place $1.30. Walmart again takes the win by just 3 cents, $1.27. Those dollar French bread loaves, so can't really beat them, can we? Let's move on to a gallon of milk. Looks like H-E-B's in third place at $2.72. Target's at second place at $2.69, and then yet again it is Walmart at $2.62 right there. What about that protein? Let's talk about a pound of ground beef. Target actually saw an increase as of this week. Last week it was 50 cents cheaper, but now it is $6.49. They're in third place though. H-E-B second place at $4.98, and then beating them out just by 4 cents is yet again Walmart at $4.94. So if you're shopping on a budget for this week, Walmart might be the winner. As always, if you can find cheaper prices than I have mentioned, might be worthwhile stocking up while you can.
And playing pickleball for a purpose, we'll show you how today's tournament meant more to neighbors than just a game.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, welcome back. Pickleball for a purpose. The Corpus Christi Athletic Club is serving up support to fellow Texans impacted by the devastating floods in Kerrville. 100% of proceeds from entry fees are going to the donor's choice of 3 organizations: Mercy Chefs, a nonprofit that provides hot meals to victims and first responders; Texar, a first responder organization that deploys throughout Texas; or the Kerr County Relief Fund, which immediately helps flooding victims. A local pickleball player, Amber Reed, says it's a great way to exercise and help those in need. And you can join next session that's happening tonight from 6 to 10 o'clock. So after watching this, run over and get some pickleball in.
I know, get that exercise in. Are you good at it? Have you ever played?
I've never played pickleball.
I haven't tried it yet either.
No.
I want to, but tennis is not a strong suit for me either. We get the softball swing, so not a good combo. But hey, you know what? Good weather for those wanting to get outside and do any kind of activity. Just make sure that you're staying on top of the hydration because it's going to be pretty hot. Look at this. As we head into the weekend, looking a little more like 96. Of course, you got to add a couple of degrees for that feels like temperature. I'll be tracking the tropics over the weekend. Now, not a huge concern. Just want to make sure that we're aware of the beach conditions because if there is some kind of development, Again, not a problem for us, but it can tend to shake up the waves.
Absolutely. Got to be safe out there. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We will see you here tonight at 6 o'clock. Have a good one.
Bye.